way of the world. They tend to rotate. Dan Lawrence is a very promising young batsman who I thought might have been a pick actually for this side. They've given Jake Liverpool another chance, possibly a final chance before Danny Lawrence made a big 100 against Surrey at the Oval, gets potentially a chance in the next championship game. Thank you very much. It's an army of sun.
Porter comes in and bowls a short delivery, but again comes off the back, but this time slightly square of the wicket to a man without a number in his back, and there is no run. Sorry, 2 slips, a gully, cover point extra mid-off, mid-on, and a very old style, conventional wicket, I'm delighted to say, about 6 yards in front of square and a long leg. You don't see that position too often now. In fact, I've been irritated already today by the sight of a deep square leg and a long leg and acres of space on the leg side, just allowing people to dink it in the top of a single, but we don't have that now. So Porter, his mid-on's quite straight. He's then bowls to Voges, it's short, and he does put a glove on that, gets it very, very fine indeed. They picked up just the single, so the long leg must have been very fine. The long leg's slightly obscured from my view, Nick, so I'm kind of relying on you to help me out on that side.
Yeah, that looks like that could well be. Actually, we might have 2 subfielders on. That's odd, because again, I thought it might be Aaron Nijan. I can't, unless he actually hasn't got his number on his back down there. I can't see him anywhere else. He's normally number 19. So,
well, I can't see the slightly moping bear-like figure of Ryder.
Yeah, Ryder. Yeah. The Ryder's one's missing. So
yes, not entirely so.
I think in these games, in 30-degree heat, it's probably understood there'll be a bit of fielder and bowler rotation.
Well, look, if you're going to be generous enough to put the opposition in, the least they can do is be generous enough to let some of your guys have a breather here and there. As Porter is in once more, so the helmeted Voges bowls another short ball that jacks back in slightly off the seam, it's with inside edge and inner thigh into the offside, and there's no run. The clouds have rolled in, and there's absolutely no point in checking for things like rain radars on a day like today, because thunderstorms, they're not part of a front. You can't see them coming from miles on.
That's right.
They just appear suddenly out of nowhere. I had one in Tooting last night. I was sat in my garden, beautiful day, it was absolutely marvellous, and then at about 9 o'clock, you know when rain is the furthest thing from your mind, suddenly there was this wonderful crack of thunder and lightning, and we had 10 minutes of rain. It was beautiful. Next ball is again a bit too short outside the off stump and watchfully let go by Voges and the gloves of Foster. Taken around about a little above waist height. This pitch has got more carry than Canterbury.
Yes, and that's probably a good thing in terms of the game, although I've seen a good pitch at Canterbury recently in a T20 game, but obviously that was made toward a pretty flat deck. This one's offering a little bit for the bowlers, particularly now with this cloud cover, and I think a full strength Essex attack might, if they'd had the likes of a Masters and Napier out there in these conditions, it would be quite interesting.
So maybe it was a master stroke after all, you never know, as Porter is in once more and bowls again, back of a leg, forward comes Voges, then just watches it go through to the keeper, no run. We've got quite an interesting pairing at the crease here, with Voges and Watson, for contrasting regions. Voges, I believe, the oldest dead top Australia in many a year. Probably not as old as Jack Owen.
Well, here's a the thing about Voges and also possibly Watson. I don't see Voges scaring him. I mean, he's a known quantity. He's a guy who's been around the circuit in county cricket. Yes, absolutely. He's not going to actually scare England, and I think they probably sort of won't mind having Voges. We think they can probably keep him fairly quiet. He's been kept fairly quiet by this second string Essex attack since he came in, hasn't he? Yeah. He's been there for quite a long time for his 15. He's not really looked very comfortable at all. And he will doubtless play in the first test, but I still think the Australian, I'm not sure it's going to be as vulnerable as it was in the first 2 tests last time when the batting disintegrated, but I still think it's vulnerable.
There's Thomas Moore, a man for all seasons, comes in, bowls, and down the leg side goes his delivery. A loose one. I commented on his first over, and it was electric.
Yes, absolutely.
2 wickets in 2 balls. And what was beautiful, he's still got it in. It's obviously a plan, so he must be bowling in duckers of some kind. Because he's kept this, I'm going to call it a leg gully. It's not a leg slip, it's a little squarer than that. It's quite deep, and it's there quite deliberately for the ball that's ducking in, playing around that front pad, flicks away. And he's kept it in not just to wipe the clock, so it wasn't just a plan for the Australian captain. As Moore comes in again, and that's down the leg side. With a little glove on that, has he? Passing out, no, it was a leg by. So leg by is down the boundary for 4. Dive from Foster, couldn't quite get his glove on it. First runs of the afternoon, session 140 for 3.
So that sort of team bonding trip to Spain didn't really mean much because Adil Rashid wasn't on it, and he's been picked for the squad, and Liam Plunkett and Mark Foote were on it, and they haven't been picked. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly whether England gamble on Adil Rashid, but it's Cook, Moeen Ali, Anderson, Balance, Bell, Broad, Butler, Finn, Lyth, Rashid, Root, Stokes and Wood, the squad for Cardiff.
Lots of bees. There have been traditionally in English cricket plenty of bees. There's more, is it again down the leg side, and again let go by Voges. So now Watson coming in at 5. In these games, I find, because of the nature, actually they're not 100% competitive, but it's not really all about the winning, really, for either side to an extent, although I dare say Bessie's got a sniff of a win, then suddenly it would be about a win. But what you're really doing is sort of reading the rooms, trying to work out what this means for Australia's strategy for test matches, and with Watson at 5, ahead of March, I'd say he's got the first opportunity here to stake his claim. Next ball is again drifting down the leg side. It's not drifting, it's almost angled deliberately down the leg side, trying to bring that leg gully into play, and Voges will not be tempted. No.
I think there are rare examples where a tour match has some sort of impact. It's not just sort of training exercise. And I think 2005 probably was one, because for Australia to concede 500 odd for 4, and they did in 2005. This was before the decisive Oval Test where Peterson got his 158. But obviously they went into that on a sort of very negative back foot, certainly from the bowler's point of view.
More in once more, and this is driven aerially, but through a vacant extra cover, they can pick up 2. It's chased after very, very earnestly indeed by a young willowy man. Was that Nigel?
Yeah, that's him. I think he hasn't got his number on his back at the moment.
He's
number 19.
Young man?
Yeah, and he's the third frontline spinner pick this season. There's been Monty at the start, Adil Malik, who, to be honest, didn't look like he was going to get too many out. And this is a guy for the future that they're going to sort of just give an opportunity to and try and introduce him gently and try and develop him. He can bat a bit as well.
Once more in again, bowlers, and this is worked straight to that man at leg gully, but on the bounce. It's the end of the over. 2 from it, and a 3 from it. No, sorry, we're not talking about the 2 off the bat, and 4 leg bowlers. 142 for 3, 17 for Voges, 2 to Watson. Nijol's kit looks very much like it was bought by his mother, and he said, "Mum, this doesn't fit." She said, "It will fit in 12 months, and I won't buy you another one." Well, how much of that time?
Alistair Cook's double 100, by the way, 10 years ago in that match. 240 not 238 balls. If he did that in a test match, that would
They've done that in 50 over matches.
yeah, that's
the ODI side.
yeah. But Alistair double 100s come along at 5-year intervals, don't they? 2010-11, of course, Brisbane, second innings. So he's due another one.
So it was a very good pitch by any chance on a warm day, smallish bat.
Yes.
And Ingles Porter bowls a York length delivery, which is dug out to mid-on.
Well, it was a warm day. So I was at Lord's watching Hampshire-Warwickshire with Mr. Peterson making one of his rare appearances for Hampshire, and Shane Watson playing for Hampshire, and Bell playing for Warwickshire. So it's amazing. 10 years down the line, we've still got several people around who are going to play a part in this Ashes series.
Well, Michael Clark for the Australians.
Absolutely.
Playing in that series.
And yeah.
So it's going to be Porter. The Hayes close end. Comes steaming in. Very bony, angular elbows. It's up the wicket and bowls a short ball. Doesn't get up. It's cut away down to the back of point or third man boundary for 4 by Watson. And Watson needs to impress in this innings. He didn't get the bowl at Clancy because of, in inverted commas, sore points. Now, we've all got sore points. Doesn't stop us bowling. Mitchell Marsh did bowl. And so, he also got that fantastic 100 that Adam was talking about.
It reminds me of that Sid James line in Carry On Counting about sore misgivings, where you should get some talcum powder for it.
Yeah. Here's Porter. In again now, thanks to Watto, who's in behind that, pushes it out to the covers, field at cover point, flung in by the numberless man, and there is no run.
Sure, some of my ABC listeners have come across the Carry On films at some point.
I think
that's my favourite, I think.
If you go to Australia, you'll find that you can actually get British comedy from the 1970s.
Yes.
On almost 24-hour loop.
They famously
still watching it 8 hours hot.
They remade Are You Being Served with John Inman still in the series. Yes, and it was, let's say, single entendres.
Yeah. Well, they pretty much were at the time, weren't they? Forward in defence to full delivery comes Watto. The wet-eyed Watto pushes it back at the wicket, and there is no run.
I've got fond memories of Elaine half hop run, mainly down because 40 years ago, a glorious June actually, just going into July now, June 1975, Whispering Grass and I'm Not in Love, the two number ones, and the first Cricket World Cup with that fabulous final between Australia and the West Indies.
East Africa.
I spent the whole rest of your life in June 1975. I can't go to it. Lovely weather, if I remember.
Well, I think there's probably a high concept movie in that notion. The next ball outside the off stump moves away ever so slightly. Good diving take by there's no run.
Dennis and Jeff Thompson, DK Liddy and Jeff Thompson there. We could run 10 here when the ball got lost famously in the crowd.
Hang on, that's not Foster keeping. Who's keeping?
Good point.
Can we see? Who is that number 15? My eyesight's not good enough. I can't quite make out the name on his back. It's a short name. But I can't do more for you than that. As Porter is in once more to bowl to Watto, and there's wide and is cut, driven powerfully, smashed through extra cover. I don't know how close that was to Salisbury at extra cover. He looked quite startled by it, and clattered into the boundary boards. And they pick up 4, 150 up, 150 to 3 at the end of the over. Shane Watson 10, and Adam Doges 17, had 31 overs.
Very good spot. I'll have to try and have a think about that because we've got James Foster not. This could be quite interesting because Ravi Bopara I thought was sort of going to be captain this game anyway because he tends to get the opportunity in these sort of games. So we thought will Foster play? He's on the list. He's on the scorecard about that. But
he's nowhere to be seen.
He's not fielding us. I don't think he's fielding elsewhere, but certainly maybe he's having his rest.
That would be unusual.
It would.
If the wicketkeeper tends not to get those sorts of benefits. As Thomas Moore is in once more, and a good, nice looking on drive. It's well fielded at mid-on. Pick up no run. I've got a little question for you, which if you know the answer immediately, just say it. Right. But if you don't, you'll be surprised at the answer. Do you know because you know A25 Hotman was actually set? Do you know exactly when it was set? When it began and when it ended?
When the series began and ended.
When it was actually set. Well, it's very, very specific, this. Thomas Moore is in again, bowls, and back into his crease goes Boges, pushes out to the offside. They pick up a single. The first episode was set on a particular day, and the last episode was set on a particular day in history.
Right.
There are, I mean, don't quote me on it, but something like 45 episodes with A25 Hotman. And you don't know the answer.
Well, all I can say about the last episode is it's one of, obviously it never gets shown these days, but it's one of the great bits of British television in terms of the final episode of a sitcom, ranks alongside the final episode of Blackadder Goes Forth. It's superb, very, very poignant about people coming back from the Second World War.
Well, you've got, there you go, I've given you a clue, because you've got when it ended, basically, if you think it through. More bowls and forward in defence, that's what's...
Saif Imtiaz is the reserve keeper. At one time, Downey would have had two to choose from. We've had Adam Wheater and Ben Folks. Now, Ben Folks, very pleased to see he got that 100, of course, the other day, which was excellent for him. He was struggling to get an opportunity with Surrey. And Adam Wheater, well, he tends to do well away from home. The Hampshire crowd still haven't taken to him. And I've just got the sneaking feeling that back in one round, Adam Wheater might one day end up back here. Well, and Michael Bates might even end up back in South Africa.
Thomas Moore is in, bowls, and forward in defence comes Watson, which is offside, and there's no run. So, if I tell you that the last episode was set on VJ Day, so that's really absolutely shocked to discover that the first episode was set on VE Day.
So that's what, the 8th of May, isn't it? Yeah.
They crammed 45 episodes in 3 months of history.
Goodness. And it was broadcast over about 7 years.
It must have been hugely amusing being out in the Burmese jungle. Thomas Moore with 2 slips. Comes in, bowls, he's dropped him, a cork bowl chance, a really good one at that. Watson was slightly defeated, I think, maybe it's about 17 plus by the in-dump that Moore has been getting. He pushed it back at it quite tentatively, around about knee height, and obviously in your follow through it is never easy. We say it's never easy to catch up your own bowling, but as captains of your own bowling go, that wasn't the worst. Wasn't the easiest, but it certainly wasn't the most difficult either. And Moore will be gutted because he's already picked up 2 big scalps in this innings, and for all the world, he looked like to be a replica of Canterbury, but have the Matt Hunt of Essex.
Yeah,
running through the Australian top order.
Oh, so disappointing for him. Maybe it's one of those things for Watson. He'll be pleased about that. He's all going to miss out on this opportunity.
And look at this, we've now got in a very aggressive Michael Vaughan style, tricksy, very short mid-on. As round his pad plays Watto's huge, massive pad. A pad that has been the subject of many a ball striking it, many an appeal, and many a fruitless DRS in the past. But on this occasion, his bat dealt very well with the ball. And it is the only inning over in which Thomas Moore may have had his wicket. Instead, he remains a martyr to the cause. There are only so many of these torturers, pardon me, to do about Thomas Moore, but we'll see.
Yorkshire beaten Durham by 147. So I think that's a very, very big win for Yorkshire, because I think Durham are their main rivals. It was Jack Brooks who got 4 for 66, so it wasn't particularly the Adil Rashid show to celebrate his arrival in the England squad, but Adil Rashid did pick up a couple of wickets.
Porter into Voges with 2 steps to the gully, bowls outside the off-stump ball that actually comes through, carries quite nicely through to Imtiaz, who's keeping in place of James Foster.
Middlesex beat Hampshire by 9 wickets, and it's a round of big partnerships. Remember that huge partnership between Bairstow and
Yes, 374.
Well, now it's Tim Ambrose 112 and Laurie Evans 142. They put on 252 so far for Warwickshire, who are still 142 behind Sussex on 459 for 5. That's at Edgbaston.
Delighted for Laurie Evans, lovely lad. Very confident young man. Porter in once more. Bowls another ball that bursts through the hands of Imtiaz, and Watto's a little bit late to call through for the bye. They do take it in the end. It was a regulation take, but I tell you, I think there's a spot out there.
Yeah.
And whoever's going to be bowling from that end for Australia, Josh Hazel may very much enjoy that end, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking start from this end, wouldn't you?
Yeah, particularly when there's a little bit of potential erratic bounce, and there's something might happen. That's the end normally, where you can. Graham Napier often performs quite effectively from that end, where he's getting a little bit of extra bounce.
It's for Hayes close end. For those of you listening in Australia and indeed in England, it's the opposite end from us. It's an end that's bedecked with 20s and 30s looking houses. As Porter is in once more, bowls a full ball which is beautifully worked away through the onside by Shane Watson. I don't think it'll make it to the boundary. It does make it to the boundary. Just as I say, I don't think it'll make it to the boundary. It goes over the boundary, so my eyesight's getting much worse. Watson with that moves to 14, the total to 156 for 3. The 3 men to go, 2 of them were in very, very quick order. Rogers and Michael Clark, the skipper. First ball caught in a brilliant leg trap. It was a spectacular moment in the game, wasn't it? The sun was shining, it was 35 degrees, and the crowd just leapt as one to see the back of the Australian captain. And that moment the game was very competitive. Porter is in again and bowls, and looking to drive that through the offside is Watson. Gets a thick inside edge and it squirts out to wide mid-on. Another run is scored, 157 for 3. We're in the 33rd over, so scoring has been scoring rate's been pretty good. The outfield is very fast, as you could imagine. We've not had a lot of rain in England for a while. That may amaze our Australian listeners. I tell you, it amazes us. So,
yeah, because actually June wasn't, apart from the last couple of days, it wasn't a warm month. It was a very dry month.
Cold and dry.
Yeah, which is unusual. It's bitter.
Yeah, on occasion. I was at Leicester at the very end of May. It was 5 degrees in Pontypridd. No fun. Porter to Voges outside the off stump, 2 wide, and left and low.
When you look at the Australian scoring, actually, I mean, you look at Warner, 94 of 86 balls, 15 fours, and actually nobody else has really timed the ball. Obviously, Michael Clark did.
I thought Rogers looked okay.
He looked okay.
He played a couple of sumptuous shots at him, complete on drive.
Yeah, one or two. But in terms of Rogers and everybody else, their scoring rate compared to Warner was quite a bit different. Warner looked very. He played one loose stroke, I remember, but apart from that, he looked really, really comfortable.
Worked well at the outside edge, down 3/3 step. Porter in once again, bowls, and again driving, but not where he intended his Voges. This time it goes up to mid-on. Completes an over, which a bit of nibble. There's a bit of nibble in this pitch, and Porter's obviously going to get to come to duck back in, just as Moore is doing on this, the river end. So called, you will not be amazed to discover, because behind us there is a river. And balls, I imagine, when Jesse Ryder was playing, they go into that route.
Well,
have you had any of those this year?
Yeah, well, Jesse Ryder, yes, Jesse Ryder was in six-hitting mode, certainly, in the last T20 game against Hampshire. Quite an important victory for Essex in the context of their T20 campaign. And yeah, he's had one very good championship game, Jesse Ryder. He's also just starting to sort of hit some form in the T20, and he's such an important part of the bowling resources as well. Although he has been rested since early on when he opened the bowling.
Yeah. Oh yes.
I think even he's decided it's a bit of a shock to nothing today.
Absolutely. Start of a new over. Thomas Moore in bowls. It's driven straight to Nijar, who I can't help it, but his trousers are wondrously baggy. His shirt's wondrously baggy. He reminds me ever so slightly of Russell Arnold, and when Russell Arnold was young and in the Sri Lanka team, on the occasion when he took that catch with his shirt.
Oh yes,
just go ahead. Nijar is cutting a similar dash. To say he's willowy, he's thinner than willowy, he's sort of bamboo-y at the moment. But they say he will fill out, young man. Of course, Thomas Moore in again, bowls, and that's dabbed into the offside by Shane Watson. It's the shortest delivery, coming back into him.